Hi, kindergarten friends. I'm so excited to read a new book with you today. And that book is called David Bowie. This book is a nonfiction book. That means it has real information. And this specific nonfiction book is called a biography. It's about a person. So that means it's real information about a real person that lived. Before we read today, I want to talk to you about a few things. First is a word that we're going to hear in this book, and that word is unique. Can you say it? Unique. Let's clap the syllables. Ready? Unique. Let's count them. Unique. Unique has 2 syllables. Unique means being the only one like it. Being the only one like it. So, for example, every person is unique because they are the only one just like themselves. Before we read today, I want to ask you to think about something that makes you unique or makes you special. What's something that makes you special or unique? Remember, makes you the only one like you. What makes you special? I'll let you think about it, or you could tell someone nearby. What makes you unique or special? Okay. Now, one more thing. Before we read about David Bowie, I want to tell you a little bit about his identities. We know some of David's identities before we read. We know that David's race identity is that he is white, and we know that David's age identity is going to change in the book. The book will start when David is a kid and then go as he gets older, okay? While we read, our good reader skill is to notice and remember the new things we learn about this person, okay? So as you read and you learn new information about David Bowie, I want you to catch that new information and put it into your brain, because at the end, we're going to talk about what you learned about David Bowie. You ready? David Bowie. And this is by Isabel Sanchez Vegada. All right, let's get started. Little David lived with his family in a tiny house on an ordinary street in London, but he had ideas that would take him out of this world. I'm learning he grew up in London. I'm going to catch that, put it in my brain. Remember, you're learning new information about him, and you're catching it to remember and share at the end. At school, he loved music and dance classes. He had a real talent for singing, and his dance moves were from another planet. His teachers had never seen anything like it before. I'm learning that David was really unique in the way that he danced, and his teachers thought it was really different, something they'd never seen before. He spent hours listening to his brother's rock and jazz records. David was so inspired by the power of music that he started to write his own songs. Remember, as we read, if you hear new information, you can catch it, think about it, and put it in your brain. David studied art, music, and design at school. Sometimes his teachers were not sure if he was a boy or a girl, but David was just delighted to be himself. Oh yeah, I remember we've been learning about no matter if you're a boy or a girl or something else, you get to just be you. And that's the most important part, to really do the things that make you feel the most like you. Sounds like David was doing that. One day, he got into a silly fight with his friend George, who punched him in the eye. Oh no. That punch changed David's look forever and made him strangely magnetic. Did you learn something new about David on this page? Go ahead. Catch it and put it in your head. I'm noticing what changed about David. Do you see it? Let's go back and look at the page before. David's eyes here. Now look at David's eyes here. Do you see how one changed color a little? David and George remained friends and formed a group called the Conrads. The rest of the band was happy playing at weddings, but David wanted to become a star. Go ahead and catch something if you learned some new information. He jumped from band to band, looking for a chance, dreaming that one day all the lonely kids on planet Earth would sing his songs out loud. But David knew that a great singer needed to be a great performer. They needed to put on a good show. He decided to mix his music with the most spectacular outfits and dance moves ever seen on stage. Whoa, I'm learning that David didn't just care about the music, he also really cared about how he expressed himself. He cared about what outfits he put on, and he cared about what dance moves he did. David wrote a song about a lonely astronaut, and it became his first big hit. The whole world listened to his song the day man first walked on the moon. Next, David transformed into an alien rock star called Ziggy Stardust, the coolest space invader the world had ever seen. Dressed as Ziggy, he finally made it to superstardom. Wow, I'm noticing some really unique, or remember, being the only one like it, clothing that David Bowie likes to wear. David wasn't sure where he was going from there, but he knew it wouldn't be boring. He kept reinventing himself, and that's what made him David Bowie. Wow, look at all the different ways David Bowie expressed himself. You might be learning something new on that page. For more than 40 years, he kept exploring new galaxies. Filled with futuristic sounds, he inspired generations of fans to find their own voice and dare to be different. And by never being afraid to be himself, little David became the most unique star who ever fell to earth. I heard that word unique. Remember, being the only one like it. Everyone is unique. They are all unique because they're the only person just like them. It sounds like David Bowie really listened to how he needed to be and did just that in the world. Double check. And here's a little picture of some things from David Bowie's life. Remember, he's a real person, and this book was filled with real information about him. Now, before we go, I want you to think, our good reader question today is to recall, that means remember some of the things that we learned about. What did you learn about David Bowie in the book? Can you try to think of 3 things that you learned about David Bowie? When you share, you can hit the record button on Seesaw to tell me 3 things you learned about David Bowie. Have fun!